Hi, I'm Josh. Welcome to another video, and today I'll be ranking from my least to most favorite the albums of 21 Pilots, one of my favorite bands out there. In my last video, I told the story of how I got into them, so if you haven't seen it, you can go watch it if you click up here, I think. Before starting, I think it's appropriate that I give a little context on 21 Pilots. They are a duo formed in 2009 in Columbus, Ohio, that currently consists of Tyler Joseph on the vocals, bass, and piano mostly, and Josh Dong on the drums. They have released 6 studio albums to date, and today I'll be ranking them all. I just want to clarify that this is just my opinion based on how much I like each album. And I listened to all of their albums again in order to make this video, and that took a while, so I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel. What a better way to start this than by getting in trouble with the fans of the early days. In number 6, Reginald at Best. I'm not the biggest fan of their early music, that's true, but this album feels a little unfinished to me. It's clear that they didn't have a big budget, but in their self-titled album they had managed to put out a really good record with a very decent production. And in my opinion, that's not the case here. I feel there's a common agreement that the mixing was bad, and that doesn't allow many songs to shine the way they should. I also gotta say, I don't like as much how the drums sound here. And the vocal performances feel like Tyler didn't have much time to record them and had to go with whatever they had, which was probably the case, and it's a shame. I think the best example of all this is Auto Sleep. I don't like how the drums sound. Tyler's performance feels a little weak, even more compared to the Vessel version, and the mixing is just bad. You can even tell between phrases that some are louder than others. It's interesting listening to the 5 songs that were later included in Vessel, because you can see the changes that were done to them. But to me, they feel like demos. I'd never prefer them over their current versions, let's say. The rest of the album isn't really interesting for me. I really like Ruby though, it's a great song. But again, I understand that because of time and budget, the album suffered a lot. But I feel there's a lot missing for me to really enjoy it. It's just definitely not my cup of tea. Oh, and it should not be remastered, because it will lose a lot of what makes it special. I wish they could put this album at least on YouTube officially, because there's a lot of people out there who like it and it should not be forgotten. My favorite song on the record is Ruby. Beautiful song. In number 5, I'll put their debut self-titled album, 21 Pilots. This is a great album. It has a surprisingly well-defined sound. Great production taking into account it was recorded and produced in a basement, touching lyrics and beautiful melodies. Songs like Implicit Demand for Proof or Friend Please are amazing songs to start a career with. They had so much potential and they definitely showed it on this album. I think Tyler put everything he had in mind into this record in an excellent way. The ideas, feelings and emotions he had are definitely reflected on the lyrics, music and vocal performances of the record. But the reason why I put this album in number 5 is cause it's the one I enjoy the least from their currently available ones. That doesn't mean it's bad, not at all. While it has some songs I don't like, I still think it's a really good album. As a whole, it's an album that feels connected and cohesive. It has awesome songs too, like Addicted with a Pen and Johnny Boy. But it's just not my favorite style, and I like the next albums way better. It also feels a little long for me. I don't find that interesting the songs on the second half of the record. And that's something that I feel with most of their albums. Luckily, Taxi Cab is there to save the second half of the record, cause what a good song. And the record ends with a great track like Isle of Flightless Birds. So I think in general this album is impressive for a debut album. It feels authentic. I think my favorite song on the record is Implicit Demand for Proof. Tyler's vocals are amazing, the piano does a really interesting job, and it's just a great opening track. Moving on, in number 4, their latest album to date, Scaled and Icy. I was super excited for this album because it was the first one released after I really got into them, and Shy Away and Choker were amazing singles. Also, the album was released in my birthday, so I was definitely excited for it. And luckily, the hype was worth it because I enjoyed this album a lot. I think it has a fresh and nice sound that the band really needed, which is the biggest reason why the people on the internet hated on this album, because it features quite a different sound compared to its predecessors. Which again, I consider a great thing, and it was done in a very good way. Saying this album is target music is like saying superhero movies are fake cinema because they use CGI. You may like it or not, that's valid, but you cannot say this album is bad just because it doesn't sound sad. I don't think it's mediocre either. Of course, it's not as big as Trench in a musical or conceptual way, and there are a couple of weak songs, but there are also great tracks with a lot of value like Mulberry Street or The Outside. So I think there's a good balance. Not their best album, but still quite enjoyable, and in my opinion, fun enough to make it worth a listen. Oh, and the live stream concert they did for this album is by far the best live stream show I've seen any artist do during this pandemic. They proved it was possible to give a quality show even if it was a live stream. I really recommend you to watch it because it's definitely worth it. And it adds a lot to the concept of the album. My respect for them because what they did here was brilliant. In general, I think this album deserved better. I really liked it and it was one of my favorite ones of 2021. Right now, I'd say my favorite song on the record is Mulberry Street. Fantastic song. Okay, I just want to say that the next 3 records are fantastic albums. The 3 of them are among my favorite ones ever. And deciding which position each belongs to was difficult. They even switch positions sometimes. But I'm doing this as of today. So in number 3, Vessel. It's crazy how good Vessel is. The initial track, Auto Sleep, aside from being a hell of a song, really sets the mood for what you're about to listen in this record. An emotional roller coaster in which Tyler will open himself with some of his most honest lyrics to date. That's what I think makes this album so special. The lyrics and meaning of songs like House of Gold and Trees really allowed Tyler to perform with the passion and emotion that can definitely make you cry sometimes. But I think the best example of this is Screen, a song that I remember made me cry the first time I listened to it. And it gives me chills every time I see a live performance of it, because it's crazy looking at an audience of hundreds or thousands of people singing with such an emotion the We're Broken People part. From the emotional to the aggressive moments and the rapping, this album has amazing vocals. Josh Dun also does a great work on the drums. Holding On To You is a song where the drums are a big reason of why it hits so hard. Guns for Hands is another one I really like, and of course, The Parting Trees. This album has amazing drums. Thanks to that, you can really appreciate the great drummer Josh Dun is. The reason why I put this album on 3rd place is cause it's not my favorite one as a whole. It doesn't feel as connected as Blurryface or Trench, where the songs are all a part of a bigger thing, not just separate tracks put together. Still, it's a great album that I love with all my heart. And my favorite song from Basil is Holding On To You. This is hard. Choosing between these 2 records has been a struggle since I got into 21 Pilots. But I think number 2 is Blurryface. This album has been among my favorite ones of all time since the very first time I listened to it. I remember how surprised I was because there wasn't a single moment where I wasn't full into it. Every song was able to get me into it so that I could feel, enjoy and understand what was happening. And that's because it has a very good structure, not only in a musical but in a lyrical way too. The topics each song talks about get deeper and darker with each song, allowing to present the record in a way that makes sense. You become a part of it while you're listening to it. And I cannot think of a better way to end an album like this than with the final track, Goner. The beginning of the song is probably the calmest moment in the whole record, but it slowly builds up with energy and explodes at the very end. It's brilliant, and when it finishes, you're left there feeling like a journey has come to an end. And I think that's because at some point everyone can relate with the music and lyrics of this album. With this song, it feels like you're fighting against your own Blurryface. That's why I think this ending hits so hard. Again, I'll take a moment to appreciate Josh Dun, because this album features some seriously great drum parts. Lane Boy is a song where the drums really become the center of attention in the most exciting part of the song. But I think his best work on the album is on Polarize, because the drums have such a big sound. They give all the groove to the song. The chorus hits super hard thanks to that. And in the ba-da-da-ba-ba part 2. It's such a solid, consistent and well-made record, with some of my favorite songs ever like Stressed Out and Right, and others I love with all my heart like Not Today or The Yacht. Even with the couple weak songs it has, it's an absolute masterpiece of an album that I definitely recommend to you. And I think it has been their best era so far. The shows were amazing, the aesthetic fitted the music and concept of the record so well. They were giving everything in every performance. They were truly the best band in the world in that moment, if you ask me. And my favorite song of the album is right. It's a song that has a lot of meaning for me. I love it and I never get tired of it. But since I'm ranking these albums from my list to most favorite, Blurryface is in number 2. Cause my favorite 21 Pilots record, at least right now, is Trench. And where should I start? Trench is definitely in my top 10 albums of all time. I really think Trench is their peak moment so far, because they did everything they had done before in a better way. The music, the lyrics, the concept, the production, the experience, everything is better. They did it all in the best way they've done it so far, making it for me their best album to date. Trench is a proof that there's always room for improvement. You can always be a little better than you were before. And I especially want to note how good the production is. Tyler Joseph has produced most of his music since his first album, and you can definitely listen how good he's gotten at it with time. Cause Trench has a fantastic production that allows you to enjoy everything that's happening. Everything is clear, you can listen to every single part of the instrumentation, while also understanding all the lyrics. I really tip my hat to Tyler Joseph for not giving up and putting so much effort to be better. I think that's a big lesson you can take from 21 Pilots, because not only the production is better, his vocals are amazing, the drum parts are brilliant, the lyrics have an incredible amount of meaning. It's great. Trench is great, and the only flaw I can think of that it has is Pet Shira. It's not a song I like that much, but it's positioned in a very bad place of the record, and it weakens a little bit that last part of it. Still, I love almost every song on it. If I did a playlist with my favorite songs of all time, let's say my top 20, there'd be like 3 from Trench, and that's quite a big number, but it speaks for how good the songs on this record are. Nico and the Niners, Chlorine, Legend, Jumpsuit, and Neon Gravestones are some of the examples. Neon Gravestones is in my opinion a masterpiece, one of many they have in their career. The relation between the music and the lyrics in that song makes it a masterpiece for me. Go listen to it and pay attention to both and you'll understand what I'm talking about. In general, go listen to this album. I truly recommend it, and please let me know what you think of it if you do. My favorite song from Trench is without a doubt The Hype. I don't have words to express how much that song means to me and the love I have for it. And I'll just finish this video by recommending you to listen to their music. Maybe for you it's not, but for me it was life-changing. Trench, Vessel, and Blurryface are some of the best records I've ever listened to. And you're definitely missing a lot of great music if you haven't listened to them. Cause so far, 21 Pilots have an impeccable discography, and I hope that I can keep saying that for as long as they keep making music. Now, if there's an artist discography that you'd like me to rank, leave it in the comments below and I'll do it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like. Don't forget to check my music if you haven't yet. It's available everywhere, but you'll have the Spotify link in the description for you to go check it. I'd really appreciate if you do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
I've been waiting for years, hoping there's a late chance that you'll come visiting someday. Don't care if the cars are rusty, the wall is black, you can still pretend it's fun to live for a last.